small town called Ybor City. The set is an old warehouse cigar factory. The costumes, the workers are always well dressed. They use a lot of white and beige linen in their clothes, are always well pressed and starched. There were lectors in the cigar factories in the old days who were hired to read to the workers, to entertain and educate them while they rolled their cigars. But after 1931, the lectors were removed from the factories, and what remained of the cigar rollers consisted of low-paid American workers who operated machines. The end of a tradition. Act 1, Scene 1. Sounds of a crowd at a cockfight. Santiago and Chiche are betting their money on cockfights. They have been drinking, but are not drunk. Eliade collects the money and oversees all the operations of this place.
Cockfights! See the winged beauties fighting in midair! Cockfights! I'll take $5, $10, $15, $20 on Picarubio! $5, $10, $20 on Espuela de Oro! Picarubio against Espuela de Oro! Espuela de Oro against Picarubio!
I'll bet 100 on Picarubio!
100 on Picarubio!
80 on Espuela.
80 on Espuela.
10 more on Picarubio.
10 more on Espuela de Oro!
No, that's enough.
I'll take $5, $10, $20. Picarubio against Espuela de Oro! Espuela de Oro against Picarubio!
Sound of a ship approaching the harbor. Morella, Conchita, and her mother, Ophelia, are standing by the seaport. They are holding white handkerchiefs and are waiting for a ship to arrive.
Is that the ship approaching in the distance?
I think it is.
It's the only ship that's supposed to arrive at this time.
Then that must be it. Oh, I'm so excited. Let me look at the picture again, Mama.
How many times are you going to look at it?
Many times. We have to make sure we know what he looks like.
You just like looking at his face.
I think he is elegant and good looking.
Ophelia opens a letter and takes out a photograph.
That he is. But what's essential is that he has good vocal cords, deep lungs, and a strong voice.
What's more important is that he has good diction when he reads.
As long as he reads with feeling and gusto, I'm content. Just look at his face and the way he signs his name.
Sounds of the crowd at the cockfight.
We have a winner! We have a winner! Espuela de Oro is the winner! Espuela de Oro!
Winner here.
10, 20, 30, 40.
You're a lucky man.
Next fight, I'll take $5, 10, 15, $20. Cuero de Yaca against Oña Roja. Oña Roja against Cuero de Yaca.
80 on Cuero de Yaca.
80 on Cuero de Yaca.
80 on Uña Roja.
80 on Oña Roja. Oña Roja against Cuero de Yaca. Cuero de Yaca against Oña Roja.
Sound of a ship approaching the harbor.
Now, don't tell your father, but I took some money from the safe to pay for the lector's trip.
You did well, Mama.
I don't feel guilty. Doesn't your father spend his money gambling? Then I'll do as I wish with my money. Now, I'll spend my money on the best lector that we can get. The gentleman who recommended him says that he's the best lector of Havana.
Well, I'm glad, because Poro Teodoro used to spit a little too much when he read to us. Sometimes it felt like sprinkles of rain were coming out of his mouth.
Morella, the poor man was 80 years old.
That he was.
Have more respect. He died 3 months ago.
Oh, I respect him, but let the truth be told.
The poor fellow, for 10 years he read to us.
Oh, I loved him. I loved him like an uncle, like a grandfather. May he rest in peace. But he should have given up being a lector a long time ago. His heart couldn't take the love stories. He couldn't take the poetry and the tragedy in the novels. He couldn't take it. Sometimes he had to sit down after reading a profound and romantic passage.
Oh, that's why I liked him, because I knew that he read to us with his heart.
But it was too much. It took him 3 months to read the last novel to us.
But But it was Wuthering Heights, and none of us ever wanted it to end, including you.
Well, I hope this new lector turns out to be as good as Theodora, because the one who replaced him didn't last.
Look, the ship is getting closer. Oh, I'm so excited. I just want him to disembark and have him here once and for all.
He's probably going to bring a lot of new books from Argentina and Spain and France because so many ships make stops in Cuba.
Sounds of the crowd at the cockfight.
We have a winner! We have a winner! Uña Roja is the winner!
Winner here, Uña Roja.
20, 40, 60, 81, 100, 20, 40, 60. All right, ready for the next fight. We have Cola Brava against Falcon de Acero. I'll take 5, 10, 15, $20. Cola Brava against Falcon de Acero.
Lend me some money, Chiche. How much? 200. I don't lend money when I'm gambling, and I don't lend any money when I'm drinking. Are you going to make me walk home to get more money? Just give up. Are you going to make me walk back to my house? It's not a good night for you. You've lost all your money. Lend me some money, Chiche. You're drunk, Santiago. Give me some money and I'll show you my luck. Come on, you have the lucky money. With your lucky money, I'll show you what I can do. And when are you going to pay me back? I guarantee that I'll pay you back. You got to give me your word. I'll give you my word. Give me a paper, I'll sign a paper. You got some paper? No, I don't have paper. Then lift up your foot. What do you mean, lift up my foot?
Santiago.
Lift up your foot, hombre. What are you going to do? What the hell? Let me have the sole of your shoe. I'm signing my name on the sole of your shoe.
Santiago carves his name on Cheche's shoe.
What for? Proof! Testament that I'll pay you back. See, here. That's S for Santiago. How much are you going to lend me now? 20. Cheapskate. I'm writing 100. 100. There you go. 100, that's what I wrote. Are you gonna... I'll pay you back. I'm your brother, for God's sake.
Oh, there it is! Wave your handkerchief!
Do you see him?
All the men look the same with their hats.
Oh, why do I get so emotional every time I see you?
Don't get mad at me, Mama. But I wrote the lector's name on a piece of paper and placed it in a glass of water with brown sugar and cinnamon.
What for?
Oh, Carmela, the palm reader, told me that if I sweetened his name, the reader would come our way.
That is like casting a spell.
It's only sugar and cinnamon, and it works.
I told you about playing with spells. It's not right, Marella. One should never alter another person's destiny.
I didn't alter his destiny. With a little sugar, I sweetened his fate.
That's how witches get started. With brown sugar. Then they begin to play with fire. Look at what happened to Rosario. She put a spell on her lover, and the man died, and not only did she lose her man, she's gone to hell herself.
Did you hear that?
They say she couldn't stop crying after her lover's death. That her whole face became an ocean of tears, and the father had to take her back to Cuba to see if she would get better. But a fever would possess the girl at night. They say she'd run to the sea naked. She'd run there to meet the devil.
Oh, now you're making me feel awful.
Sounds of the crowd at the cockfight.
Kikariki, ready for the next fight? We have Diamante Negro against Cresta Fuerte. I'll take 5, 10, 15, $20. Diamante Negro against Cresta Fuerte. Cresta Fuerte against Diamante Negro.
Lift up your foot again. What for? Lift up your foot and let me see the sole of your shoe. What for? I'm borrowing 200 more. No. You're jinxed tonight. I'll pay you back. It's written on your sole of your shoe. Then cross it out. I can't cross it out. I've got my totals there. If I don't pay you, part of the factory is yours.
Immediately, Cheche takes off his shoe.
Then write it down. I write it down. I want it in writing. I'll write it down. There you go.
Cheche looks at the sole of his shoe. He gives Santiago more money.
Here. Let's go. Well, put on your shoe, hombre. No, I'm not putting it on. Why not? Because this here is our contract and I don't want it erased. And you're going to walk with just one shoe? Yes. Bastard.
Sound of the ship
Well, there's no sign of him. Let's see if you spoil it for us.
Don't say that. I'm so nervous. I think I'm going to pee-pee on myself.
Is he that man waving his hat?
Is it? I can't see very well from here.
No, he's got to be younger.
How is he going to recognize us?
Well, I told him that I was going to wear a white hat.
Oh, Lord, there are more than 50 women with white hats.
But I told him that my hat would have a gardenia.
Is it the man with the blue suit?
No, too fat.
When you get home, you take that man's name out of that Sweetwater.
Oh, Lord, I feel awful. He's nowhere to be found. I'm going home. I'm going home. I ruined it.
No, Marilla.
No, I ruined it.
Come back here. Come on, a little bit of sugar. It can't do any harm, okay?
The lector, Juan Julian, enters. He is wearing a Panama hat and a white linen suit.
I don't want to spoil
Oh,
it.
Marilla, don't be foolish.
Signora Ophelia,
Yes.
the gardenia in your hat. Am I correct, Signora Ophelia?
Oh,
Juan Julian takes off his
Yes,
hat.
Mama.
yes, I'm Ophelia.
Juan Julian Rios, at your service.
Yes, I am, Ophelia. Ophelia Alcalá. What an honor.
We hear Marela pee on herself from nervousness. Awkward pause. All of them notice.
Do you have everything? Senor Juan Julian, do you have your luggage?
I'll have to tell the steward that I found you.
Go find him, please, yes. We're waiting here.
Juan Julian runs off.
What happened?
Don't know.
Oh, dear, you wet yourself like a child.
I couldn't hold it in, Mama.
Music plays, lights change. Scene 2, the cigar factory. Juan Julian is holding a few books strapped with a belt. Cheche enters. He wears one shoe and holds the other in his hand.
Are you here to see someone?
I'm here to see Ophelia.
Well, Ophelia hasn't come yet. Can I help you?
She told me she'd be around here around this time.
She should be getting here soon. Can I be of service?
No, thank you. Oh, wait.
What are you, a lector?
Yes, I am. I just arrived from the island. Today's my first day.
If you're looking for a job, we're not hiring.
No, I'm the new letter. Don't know Ophelia.
I heard you. You just arrived, and I'm telling you, we're not hiring.
Well, I can imagine you're not hiring, because Signora Ophelia...
Senora Ophelia and her daughters enter.
Ophelia, this gentleman is here to see you. I told him we're not hiring.
He's been hired by me, Chester.
Oh. I see.
Welcome, Juan Julian. Some of the cigar rollers who work in front told me that you'd be already mentioned. Yes. They're very excited that you're here.
Yes, I was talking to the gentleman wearing the fedora who sits all the way to the right.
Oh, yes. Pepino Mellini, he's the best buncher we have. He is from Napoli. He has a soft spot for the love stories. He's the one that sings Neapolitan songs at the end of the day.
And I also met Palomo, the gentleman with the Panama hats.
My husband? He is a roller like us.
And did you meet Manola?
Is she the lady with the picture of Valentino on her top of her table?
Yes. She does the stuffing. Oh, she's delighted that you are here. Sometimes she's a sea of tears when she listens to the lectures.
Oh, and the gentleman with the handkerchief about his neck.
Oh, yes. That's Pascual Torino from Spain. He does the rapping. A nostalgic at heart. He wants to go back to his country and die in Granada.
And the gentleman that was just here.
Chester is a clown.
We call him Cheche. He's my husband's half-brother. Now, we didn't know he was part of the family until one day he showed up at the factory with a birth certificate. And he said he was my father-in-law's son. So we took him in, and ever since he's been a part of the family. But he really is from a town up north. My father-in-law got around.
I think that my presence offends him.
Oh, that can't be. Don't pay him any
But
mind.
when I entered the factory this morning, he turned his back on me, and then he was...
Hey, Cheche,
Chiche thinks he owns the factory.
My husband has given him a little bit too much power. But it's my husband who really owns the factory and runs this.
Don't mind him. Cheche has a knack for turning the smallest incident into a loud, tragic event.
Yes, but I didn't do anything to the man.
He doesn't like lectors.
He doesn't understand the purpose of having someone like you read stories to the lectors, to the workers.
But it has always been the tradition.
He's from another culture.
He thinks that lectors are the ones that cause trouble.
Why? Why, because we read novels to the workers? Because we educate them and inform them?
No, it's more complicated than that. His wife ran away from home with a lector.
He doesn't need to know these things.
But it's true. She disappeared one day with the lector that was working here. She was a Southern belle from Atlanta, and he was from Guanabacoa. Her skin was pale like a lily, and he was the color of saffron. And of course, now Chiche is against all lectors and the love stories that they read.
Yes, but he can't put all the blame.
Chiche thinks the love stories got under her skin. That's why she left him.
That's enough, Marela. When all this happened, the poor man was desperate, angry, and sad. He couldn't accept reality, so he blamed the lecturers and the love stories for his misfortune.
If he's ever disrespectful, you should talk to our father.
No, don't worry about him. I'll take care of him.
Oh, what are you planning to read to us?
The first Tolstoy, Anna Karenina.
Anna Karenina. Oh, I already like the title. Is it romantic?
Yes, this is quite romantic.
Anna Karenina will go straight to Chiche's heart. The poor man won't be able to take it.
I could pick another book. I've brought many.
No. Read Anna Karenina, if that's the book that you chose.
He needs to listen to another love story and let the words make nests in his hair so he can find another woman.
And how do you like Tampa so far, Juan Julian?
Well, it's very... It seems like a city in the making.
That it is. We're still trying to create a little city that resembles the one that we left back on the island.
Well, it's curious. There are no mountains or hills here. There's lots of sky, I have noticed, and clouds. The largest clouds I've ever seen, as if they'd soaked up the whole sea. It's just so flat all around. That's why the sky seems so much bigger here, infinite. Much bigger than the sky I know back home. And there's so much light. There doesn't seem to be any place one could hide.
One can always find shade in the park. There's always a hiding place to be found. And if not, one can always hide behind the light.
Really? And how does one hide behind the light?
Well, it depends on what you are hiding from.
Perhaps light itself.
Well, there are many kinds of light. The light of fires, the light of stars, the light that reflects off of rivers, or light that penetrates through cracks. And then there's the type of light that reflects off the skin. Which one?
Perhaps the type that reflects off skin.
Oh, that's the most difficult to escape.
Ophelia, why didn't Santiago come to work today?
He went to Camacho's house. Is there a problem, DJ?
No, I just would like to talk about... will he come back later?
No, I don't know. What's wrong with your foot?
Oh, it's a long story. You see,
Did you fall? Did you hurt yourself?
No, it's nothing.
Oh, you know, I know my feet, they get worse and worse each day. If it isn't a bunion hurting, then it's an ingrown nail, and then
No, Ophelia, it's nothing of the sort.
Oh, well then, what? Are you walking with just one?
Well, you see, my shoes for work, I took them to the shoemaker yesterday, and they weren't ready today.
Oh, so these are the new shoes that are hurting your feet. Okay.
No, you see, I mean...
Yes.
Last night, Santiago and I, we went to the cockfights.
That explains it. You lost all your money and your shoes.
No, I didn't lose my money. Your husband lost all his money and some of mine.
Oh. So you are giving me these shoes so I can throw it at him and break his head.
No, Ophelia, how do I...
So, I don't understand. What's with the shoe? Are you collecting alms? So instead of passing the bucket or the hat, are you passing the shoe?
Well, I'm sort of passing it to you.
I don't have any money, Cheche.
I'm not asking for your money.
Then why are you pointing this thing at me?
You see, right here, on the sole of my shoe, Santiago wrote how much he owes me.
And how much does he owe you?
The total is right here.
That's a lot of money.
That's how much he owes me.
Where did you get so much money?
I was winning.
And you drank and gave it all away.
No, well, he wanted to continue playing. He didn't want to walk home to get more money, so I lent him what I had. And he told me he'd sign my shoe and write the totals, and I trust that he'll pay me back.
So what do you want me to do?
Well, this here is a bill, a document.
Oh, you can't be serious.
No, here is an agreement. If he doesn't pay me, you see, this here is an agreement. He signed it. Here's his initials. He signed this. He signed it, and he told me if he didn't pay me, another share of the factory would be mine.
Get this out of my sight.
But Ophelia,
I said, get it out of my sight.
But Ophelia,
You know, I don't know what went on between you and your brother, but I don't have anything to do with it. And you better go to a shoemaker and you get your shoes fixed.
Music plays. Lights change. Scene 2. Juan Julian rides around the cigar workers reading from Tolstoy's Anna Karenina. He reads with passion and fervor. The cigar workers roll their cigars, but are completely immersed in the story.
Looking at him, Anna Karenina felt a physical humiliation and could not say another word. Her beloved felt what a killer must feel like when he looks at the body he has deprived of life. The body he had deprived of life was their love, the beginning of their love. There was something dreadful and revolting in the recollection of what had been paid for by this awful price of shame. The shame that Anna sensed from the spiritual nakedness destroyed her and affected him. But in spite of the killer's horror when he faces the body of his victim, the killer must cut the body to pieces and conceal it. And he must make use of what he has gained by his crime. And with the same fury and passion as the killer throws himself upon the body and drags it and cuts it, he covered her face and shoulders with kisses. Yes, these kisses are what have been bought by my shame. That's all for today from Anna Karenina.
Why does he always end when he gets to the good part?
To keep us in suspense.
To keep us wanting more.
He's a really fine lector.
That's why he is called the Persian canary. Because it's like hearing a bird sing when he reads.
And can you smell the cologne from his handkerchief every time he dries his forehead? The fragrance wraps itself around the words like smoke.
Oh, Lord. Exactly what I expected. Now they'll sigh and chat about the love story for hours.
I heard that, Chiche.
Oh, but this is the part I like most, when you start discussing things. For some reason, I never hear the story the same way that you do.
Neither do I, but maybe that's because we're men, huh?
You're being cynical.
Don't pay them any mind.
No, I'd like to hear what you have to say.
Mama, you did well in sending for him.
Well, only a fool can fail to understand the importance of having a lector read to us while we work.
Well, Chiche is not very happy with him.
That's because Cheche is a fool.
Now, I haven't said anything.
Yeah, I heard what you told Paloma. This morning, we're not going to do away with any lectures.
All I said.
When I lived in Havana, okay, I don't remember ever seeing a tobacco factory without a lector. You know, as a child, I remember sitting in the back, listening to the stories. That has always been our pride. You know, some of us cigar workers, you know, we cannot read. We are not able to write. But we can recite lines from Don Quixote or Jane Eyre.
All I said is that I'm afraid we're in for another tragic love story.
I like love stories.
Me too.
I I would have preferred a detective story.
Oh, well, they're not very literary, Chester.
Well, I don't know about you, but ever since you started reading Anna Karenina, my mind wanders to Russia.
Me too. I have dreams, and they are full of white snow. And Anna Karenina is dancing waltzes with Vronsky. And then I see them in a little room, and all the snow melts from the heat of their bodies and their skin. And I just want to borrow a fur coat from my friend Cookie Salazar and go to Russia.
He chose the right book. There is nothing like reading a winter book in the middle of summer. It's like having a fan or an icebox by your side to relieve the heat in the caloric nights.
Help me with the boxes.
What was that last line? And as with fury and passion, the killer throws himself
Upon the body, he said, and drags it and cuts it. He covered her face and shoulders with kisses.
Does that mean that when you're in love, it's like your body is stolen from life?
No. The body robbed of life was their love. The love of Anna and her beloved.
It must be terrible living that way.
Why?
Well, how can the three of them live like that? Anna, the husband, the lover. It must be a nightmare.
Of course not.
Yes. Anna said it herself. It's like a curse, she said. She was talking about it at the end when she said that his kisses have been bought by her shame. She's got to be miserable.
Miserable? Enraptured, maybe?
Now, you don't listen to the story, Marella.
Of course I listen to the story.
Then you ought to know that it is misery for her. It's pure agony for Anna's husband and for the lover, too. They probably couldn't endure it any longer if it weren't for some kind of hope.
Then why would she take on a lover?
Well, she has no choice. It's something she can't escape, okay? That's why the writer describes love as a thief. The thief is the mysterious fever that poets have been studying for years. Remember, Anna Karenina, you remember her last words?
She never remembers anything.
I do. I just don't cling to every word the way you do. I don't try to understand everything they say. I let myself be taken. When Juan Julian starts reading, the story enters my body, and I become the second skin of the characters.
Don't be silly.
We can always dream.
Well, yes, but we have to take a yardstick and measure our dreams.
Well, then I will need a very long yardstick. The kind that can measure the sky.
How foolish you are, Marilla.
No, everything in life dreams. A bicycle dreams of becoming a boy. An umbrella dreams of becoming the rain. A pearl dreams of becoming a woman. And a chair dreams of becoming a gazelle and running back to the forest.
But my child, people like us, we have to remember to keep our feet on the ground and stay living inside our shoes and not have lofty illusions.
A bell rings.
Ah,
Palomo enters.
workday has come to an end. Oh, good, I rolled more than 200 cigars today.
And I've lighted more than 1,000. That's what I like about putting the bands around the cigars. It's like marrying all these men without ever seeing them.
Men marry their cigars, my dear, and the white smoke becomes the veil of their bride. My mother, she used to say, when a man marries, he marries two women. His bride and his cigar. Come on, are you coming, Conchita?
No, Paloma and I are working until late.
Okay, well then, adios. We'll see you for dinner.
Adios.
See you later, Paloma.
Adios.
Adios.
So is your father in trouble again, and that's why...
He is.
How much did he lose this time?
Plenty.
Plenty can be a lot of money.
Yes, you're right. And I don't know what good he gets from losing all that money.
Well, that's something we'll never know.
He begins to roll cigars.
And how do you like the novel that Juan Julian is reading to us?
I like it very much.
Doesn't it make you uncomfortable?
Why would it make me uncomfortable?
The part about the lover?
Seems like in every novel there's always a love affair.
And And do you ever think about everything that's happening between Ana Karenina and her husband?
I do, but I...
So what goes through your mind when you listen to the story?
I think of the money all those people have.
You would say something like that.
Why? Because you like money?
I'm talking about literature, and you talk about money.
Well, what do you want me to say?
I want you to talk about the story, the characters.
Wouldn't you like to have all the money they have? So you don't have to spend the whole day rolling cigars and working after hours so that we can save money to have our own business?
I don't mind rolling cigars.
And what's so good about rolling cigars?
My mind wanders to other places.
What places?
Places and things money can't buy.
Money can buy everything.
Not the places I go in my mind.
Well, what kind of places are you talking about?
Places made of dreams.
Oh, you're a strange creature, Conchita. I don't know why I married you.
You married me because the day you met me, I gave you a cigar I had rolled especially for you. And when you smoked it, you told me I had slipped into your mouth like a pearl diver.
I told you that.
Yes, you did. After blowing a blue ring of smoke out of your mouth, and the words lingered in the air like a zeppelin, and I thought to myself, I could fall in love with that mouth.
As far as I can remember, I married you because I couldn't untie your father's hands from around my neck.
The truth comes out. That explains everything. You never really cared for me.
Are you trying to start a fight?
No. I asked you a simple question about love story, and you're being foolish.
Never mind.
You don't care about anything, do you? Juan Julian could be reading a book by Jose Marti or Shakespeare, and everything goes in one ear and out the other.
I pay attention to what he reads. I just don't take everything to heart the way you do.
Well, you should. Do you remember that part of the book in which Ana Karenina's husband is suspicious of her having an affair with Vronsky? Remember when he paces the room like a lost animal?
I know what you're getting at.
I just want to have a civilized conversation. The same way the characters speak to each other in the novel. I've learned many things from this book.
Such as?
Jealousy. For Anna's husband, jealousy is base and almost animalistic. And he's right. He would never want Anna to think that he's capable of such vile and shameful emotions.
But you can't help being jealous. It's part of your nature.
Not anymore.
That's a change.
Oh, I could see the husband so clear in the novel. How the thoughts would take shape in his mind, as they have in my own mind. I mean, not the same. No, not the same. Because he's an educated man, surrounded by culture and wealth, and I'm just a cigar roller in a factory. He is well-bred and sophisticated. I barely get by in life. But with this book, I'm seeing everything through new eyes. What is happening in the novel has been happening to us. No. Don't look at me that way. You might not want to admit it, but Anna and her husband remind me of us, except I'm more like the husband.
So what does that make me then, huh? Ana Karenina?
You are the one who has the secret love, not me.
Oh, come on. It's late. Let's go home. I can't work like this.
That's exactly what Anna said when the husband confronted her about the lover. It's late. Let's go to sleep.
I think you're taking this a little too far.
Anna? Have you ever heard the voice of someone who's dead? The voice is crude and ancient because it has no sense of direction or place, because it doesn't hear itself. It doesn't know if anybody else in the world hears it. Sometimes I want to have a long conversation with you like this, like a deaf person, as if I couldn't hear you or myself. But I would just talk and talk and say everything that comes to mind like a shell that shouts with the voice of the sea, and it doesn't care if anybody ever hears it. That's how I want to speak to you and ask you things.
And what's the use of talking like this? What sort of things do you want to ask me?
Things that you wouldn't tell me. Afraid that I might not understand.
Like what?
I'd like to know what she's like and what she does to make you happy.
Let's go home.
Why?
Because I don't want to talk about these things!
So what's going to happen to us, Paloma?
I don't know. You want a divorce? We could travel to Reno and be divorced in 6 weeks, but your family would be opposed to it, and the same with mine. So divorce is out of the question.
And if I tell you that I want to cut my hair, change the way I dress, and take on a lover?
Say that again?
What I just said?
You want to have a lover?
Yes. Like you do.
Ave Maria Purissima!
I have the same right as you do.
This book will be the end of the both of us.
Don't you think we've already come to the end?
No.
You don't make love to me like you used to.
Well, I mean, you and I, we...
It's all right, Paloma. It's all right. There's something that Ana Karenina said, and I keep repeating it to myself, that there are as many minds as there are heads, then there are as many kinds of love as there are hearts. I can try to love you in a different way. I can do that. And you should try to do the same.
Music plays, lights change. Scene 4. A square of light on the floor suggests the interior of the family's house. Ophelia and Santiago are not on speaking terms. She sits on one side of the room, he sits on the other. Marela stands by Santiago. Marela runs back and forth as the communicator.
Ask your mother for some money to buy me a pack of cigarettes. She's not talking to me.
Papa wants money for a pack of cigarettes.
Ask him when he's going back to work.
She wants to know when you are coming back to work.
Tell her as soon as I get money from Camacho to pay Cheche.
He says as soon as he gets money from Camacho to pay Cheche.
Good, tell him to give up smoking till then. Then I'm not giving him any money.
What did she say?
She says,
I heard her. Tell her she's insane.
says you're insane.
And tell him he's a drunk, a thief, and a good-for-nothing gambler.
She says,
I heard.
he heard you. Good, she says.
You're a crazy woman. Crazy woman!
Tell him I didn't hear that. I don't hear him. I don't want him to talk to me anymore.
Ah, she heard me.
Tell him I don't want him to hear any more of his barbarisms.
Oh, did you hear that, Papa? She doesn't want to hear your barbarism.
Tell her.
Come here, Marela.
Oh, okay.
Marela, come here.
Wait, it's not your turn, Mama.
Marela!
I can't be here and there at the same time.
This is insane!
Well, you both heard that.
Tell her I'm going to a pawn shop to sell my wedding ring.
Tell him. You heard that? Tell him that he should have done that a long time ago.
She's right. I should have done it a long time ago.
Yes, before his finger got numb.
She's right before my finger got numb.
You see, I was right. Numb. Like everything else.
She's wrong, not like everything else.
Nothing works on his body. Just his rotten teeth to chew away mine.
I'm leaving.
Marela.
Marela!
You can fight without me.
I've been listening to the new lector from up here.
You have?
He's good. He has a solid voice, and I like the novel he's reading.
Yes. A solid voice he has, and I like the novel too.
I especially like the character that lives in the countryside.
Yes?
Yes,
You mean the one that lives on the farm?
yes, the one that has the farm. What is his name?
His name is Levin.
That's right, Levin.
You know, that's the one that lives in the forest, surrounded by the trees.
That Levin reminds me of when I was young and my father left me to run the factory. It seems as if Levin has dedicated his whole life to the farm.
Yes, he is a dedicated man.
I used to be like him.
Yes, you used to be like him.
I like the part of the book when Anna's brother is going to sell the estate next to Levin's property, and Levin counsels him not to sell it.
Yes. You know, that is a good part. Oh, I can't believe that you almost gave another share of the factory to today! Oh, why?
You're right, I lost my mind. I shouldn't drink.
That's right, drink you shouldn't. That's an idiotic thing to do. Give away another share of the business. Cha-Chang, he doesn't know what he's doing. He's like a scarecrow. He's been talking about bringing machines and replacing some of the workers. You need to go back to the factory.
Yes, you're right. To the factory, I need to go back.
Something else. What's eating you? You haven't gone to work, you don't eat, you don't sleep well.
I've acted like a fool and failure. I'm ashamed of myself, and I'm angry, and I'm bitter. And I can't shake off this damn agony.
Do you want me to call the doctor?
No, I don't need a doctor.
But you can't go on like this. Sooner or later, you have to go back and face the workers.
I will when I get the money, and I can pay back Cha-Chang.
And are you going to, what, stay here until then?
Yes,
Oh, that's silly.
that's the way I am.
Well, I'm going to bed.
Finn,
Yes?
stay up a little while longer.
I'm tired. You didn't work like I did today.
Talk to me about the novel. I can't always hear very well from up here. This fellow Levin, this character that I admire, he's the one who's in love with the young girl in the story, isn't he?
Oh, yes. He is in love with Kitty. And Levin is in love with Kitty. And Kitty is in love with Vronsky. And Vronsky is in love with Anna Karenina. And Anna Karenina is married. And she's in love with Vronsky. Everybody's in love in this book. Oh.
But for Levin, there's only one.
Yes. There's only one woman for you.
No, nothing.
It's making its way back to us again. You know, there's nothing like the Tampa breeze. It's always a punctual visitor around this time.
You know, a failure when I gamble. When I gamble, I try to repeat the same motions. I try to repeat everything I did the day I won. And when I lose, I try to take inventory of what I did wrong. I think to myself, did I get up from bed with the left foot first, but did I forget to polish my shoes? Did I leave the house in a state of disorder? Was I unkind to someone, and that's why the luck didn't come my way? Lately, I've been in a fog, and I don't know what to do. Every time I lose, I feel that something has been taken from me. something bigger than money. And I see a line of little ants caressing breadcrumbs on their backs. But the crumbs they had taken away from are my pride. My pride and my self-respect. My dignity. Have I lost you to a feeling? Have I lost you?
No. If you had lost me, I wouldn't be here. If you had lost me, I wouldn't be by your side. How can you say, how? You had lost me.
Music plays, lights change. Scene 5. Juan Julian, Marella, and Conchita at the factory.
I don't really like cities. In the country, one has freedom. When I'm in a city, I feel asphyxiated. I feel constriction on my lungs. The air feels thick and dense, as if the buildings are breathing and stealing away the oxygen. As my father used to say, living in a city is like living inside the mouth of a crocodile. And buildings all around are like teeth, the teeth of culture, the mouth and tongue of civilization. It's a silly comparison, but it makes sense to me. Every time I go to a park, I'm reminded of how we always go back to nature. We build streets and buildings. We work 5 to 6 days a week building and cementing our paths, and down come tumbling trees and nests, whole parades of insects, and all for what? On Sundays, we return to a park where we can still find greenery. The verdure of nature.
You're right. I don't know what I would do without my walks to the park. Why did you choose to read Tolstoy?
Because Tolstoy understands humanity like no other writer does.
That's a good enough reason to read.
Someone told me at the end of his life, when he knew he was going to die, he abandoned his house and he was found dead at a train station. The same as... Perhaps I shouldn't tell you this.
He was probably on his way to visit God.
That has always been my suspicion, yes.
Pardon me, but I must go.
How did you become a lector?
I discovered books one summer. My father owed a lot of money to a creditor, and we had to close ourselves up in our house and hide for a while. For my family, keeping up appearances was important. We had to pretend we'd gone away on a trip. We told neighbors that my mother was ill and she had to recuperate somewhere else. And we stayed in that closed-up house for more than 2 months while my father worked abroad. I remember it was hot, all the windows were kept closed. The heat was unbearable. The maid was the only one who went out to buy groceries. And while being closed up in our own home, my mother read books to the family. That's when I became a listener and learned to appreciate stories, the sounds of words. Have you ever been to New England?
No.
I always wanted to go there. I wonder what New Englanders are like. Here I have met workers from other parts of the world, but I have never met anyone from up north.
Cheche's from up north.
Cheche's from a world of his own.
I knew a fellow from New London. He was modest and reserved. So shy was this boy that when he expressed any sort of feeling, he would excuse himself. One day I gave him a braid that I'd cut from my own hair, and I told him to bury it under a tree. I explained to him that, back in the island, most women cut their hair once a year on the 2nd of February, when plants and trees are pruned for the feast of Saint Candelaria. I told him how women offer their hair to the earth, and the trees for all the greenery and fruits to come. And I gave him my little braid in a box and I told him to choose a tree in the park. And the boy looked at me with a strange face and said that he would feel embarrassed digging a hole in the middle of the park in front of everybody. And that's when I took my braid back from him, took a shovel, dug a hole, and put him to shame. From then on, he never talked to me again. So he's the only person from New England that I have ever met.
Do you still cut your hair every 2nd of February?
Yes, my father always does me the honor of burying.
Your father, why not your husband? Should be an honor for any man. If I were your husband, I would find an old, wise banyan tree, and I would bury your hair by its roots, and I'm sure it would accept the offering like rainwater.
Well, I'm cutting my hair short like Clairvaux, and that will be the end of the ritual.
I would offer to find a strong-looking tree, but the ritual won't count if it's not done on February 2nd.
I believe everything counts if you have faith.
So are you telling me that I should pick a strong-looking tree?
Yes, if you wish.
And why me?
Because you offer to. And you are the reader of the love stories, and anybody who dedicates his life to reading books believes in rescuing things from oblivion.
So is there a story in your hair?
There will be the day I cut it, and that story will come to an end.
How does one read the story of your hair?
The same way one reads a vase or a book.
Then we should not bury your hair under a tree. We should place it inside a manuscript. The same way Victorian women used to press flowers or a lock of hair between the pages of a book.
Then I would leave it to you to choose the book.
How about this one?
My hair will be in good company with Annika.
Then close your eyes and choose a page.
Conchita closes her eyes. She opens the book and chooses a page. Juan Julian reads.
At first, Anna sincerely thought she was annoyed because he insisted on pursuing her. But very soon after her return from Moscow, when she went to an evening party where she expected to see him but which he did not attend, she came to the realization by her sadness that overwhelmed her that she was deceiving herself.
Then here. Cut my hair.
Conchita hands him the scissors. She loosens her hair and turns her back to him. He combs her hair with his fingers. He kisses her shoulders. She then turns around to return his kisses. And that is the end of Act 1.
And we'll be back with Act 2.
She still could not find the proper words to express the complexity of her feelings, and could not even find thoughts with which to reflect on all that was in her soul.
Juan Julian and Conchita are at the factory making love. She is lying on top of a table, half naked, her skirt tucked up. He is there between her legs, shirtless and full of sweat. They have transgressed the limits of their bodies, and he now kisses her gently.
I'd like to stop seeing you here.
And where do you want to meet?
In my room where we could be.
That would be impossible.
They start kissing.
Then we should meet in a hotel.
Hotels are cold and impersonal like hospitals.
Like hospitals.
Yes, every guest is looking for a remedy, whether it's a temporary relief from the world or a temporary rest from life.
Then we should meet in a hospital, because sometimes I detect sad trees in your eyes after we make love.
Then I must have had a terrible malady.
Yes. And I recommend that you buy a canary and hear it sing 5 minutes a day.
And what if I can't find a canary?
Then you must come hear me sing when I'm in the shower.
We hear people outside.
Go. Someone's coming.
Wait! You don't let me finish. You don't let me finish. That is one of the problems that we have. Look, I own shares in this factory, and now that your husband...
Sardar workers enter and gather around Chiche. Next to him is a large machine wrapped in paper. There is a heated controversy over the machine. We hear the workers complaining.
I am the owner of this company. And I have the last word.
But Ophelia, that is not...
Will someone go upstairs and call Santiago?
Ophelia, all I'm trying to say is that all these other companies are succeeding.
But Chiche, this has nothing to do with machines.
Listen, I don't want to listen to this. He is not the owner of this factory. Will someone call my husband now?
Will you just let me talk? Let's back up here. I'm trying to make a point and you don't let me speak.
Let the man talk, Mama.
Ophelia, okay. All these other cigar companies have the leads. I can name them all. Caprichos, Entreactos, Petit Bouquet, Regalo de Salon, Coquetas, Conchas Finas, they all have the leads.
They don't roll cigars like we do.
It doesn't matter how they roll cigars. That's what I'm trying to tell you.
It matters. It matters. It matters to us.
Then we're never going to get anywhere.
Oh, and who is in a hurry to get anywhere, huh? I want to know. Are you going somewhere? Where? Conchita, are you going somewhere?
No.
Well, are you going somewhere, Paloma?
I wouldn't mind going to the Canary Islands to see my grandma.
Well, then in that case, I'm going to go to Spain.
Oh, and I'd like to go to the roof shop.
I'm not joking. I'm talking about the modern world. Modernity. Progress. Advancement.
If working with machines means being modern, you know what? Then we are not interested in a modern world.
Do you want to see our sales records? Do you want to see our sales records?
I don't have to see the sales records. I know how much we sell. And we're not doing that badly.
How can we be doing well when we had to let go of 2 employees?
One employee, Chiche. The other was your wife, and she left of her own accord.
My wife is dead to me. My point is that
Machines are stealing our jobs.
That's right.
Look, I've been given some more shares in the factory.
Okay.
Wait a second.
Yes.
Wait a second. From now on, I am going to set things straight.
No, you don't think...
Hold on. Just hold on. Do you want to know? We are stuck in time. And why are we stuck in time? We are operating in the same manner that we were 20, 30, 50 years ago.
Okay,
Hold on. And why are we stuck? We are stuck because we are not part of the new century. Because we are still rolling cigars the same way that the Indians rolled them hundreds of years ago. I mean, we might as well wear feathers and walk half naked with bones in our noses. Because we are still rolling cigars the same way the Indians rolled them. There are machines that do tobacco stuffing at the speed of light. Bunching machines, stripping machines. It's wonderful.
No. Tell me, and with all these wonderful machines, are there any workers left? Huh?
Are you kidding me? Look, the workers run the machines.
Leonardo over at the Aurora factory says that...
Look, our Leonardo is a lector. What does he know about machines?
He doesn't talk about machines like you do, but I can tell you what he says. He's always talking about maintaining our ways, our methods, the old process we use, what we brought with us from the island. We brought these to roll our cigars. So we don't need an apparatus or whatever you want to call it.
That's right. Paloma was
Look,
wrong.
Leonardo is a lector, okay? That's why he doesn't value the machines. Look, the lectors are being fired from all the factories because nobody can hear them or hear them read over the sound of the machines. And that's another thing I want to talk about. I don't know about the rest of you, but I am not interested in giving any more money from my pocket, from my wages, to listen to a lector read me romantic novels.
It's literature, Jete.
Literature, romance novels, it's all the same to me.
No, it's not the same. We learn things, and the words he reads to us are like a breeze that breaks the monotony of this factory.
Well, some of these companies have done away
Senor
with...
Chester, allow me to say something. My father used to say that the tradition of having readers in the factory goes back to the Taino Indians. He used to say that tobacco leaves whisper the language of the sky. And that's because through the language of cigar smoke, the Indians communicate to the gods. Obviously, I am not an Indian, but as a lector, I am a distant relative of the cacique, the chief Indian who used to translate the sacred words of the deities. The workers are the oyadores, the ones who listen quietly, the same way the Taino Indians used to. And this tradition that you are trying to destroy with your machines, instead of promoting and popularizing the machines, why don't you advertise our cigars? Or are you working for the machine industry?
Yes, he's right. Listen to this. We need more advertising so we can sell more cigars. It's
Face
simple.
it, Chester, workers, cigars aren't popular anymore. Moving pictures now feature their stars smoking cigarettes. Valentino, Douglas Fairbanks, they're all smoking little fags and not cigars. You can go to Hollywood and give our cigars out to producers.
You're being cynical.
No, I am warning you. This fast mode of living with machines and moving cars affects cigar consumption. And do you want to know why, Senor Chester? Because people prefer a quick smoke, the kind you get from a cigarette. The truth is that machines, cars, are keeping us from taking walks and sitting in parks and smoking a cigar slowly and calmly the way they should be smoked. So you see, Chester, you want modernity, and modernity is actually destroying our very own industry, the very act of smoking a cigar.
Yes!
Now, I could certainly step out of the room if you want to take a vote.
No, you, come here. You do not have to go out of the room. It's obvious. We all want you to stay.
No. Let's do it the democratic way. We are in America. I'll step out of the room and you vote. Go ahead, Chester.
What's going on here?
Mina, honey, I am glad you are here. We are about to take a vote, are we? Yes?
What are you voting for?
Machines. Chester, JJ, he brought a stuffing machine.
And do the workers want machines?
No.
So what are you voting for?
To do it the American way.
And what's the American way if everybody said no?
Okay, you talk to JJ. Everything has gone up to his head. You know, he wants to get rid of the lector.
No, wait a minute.
Is that true,
No,
JJ?
I asked the workers if they wanted to continue to pay for the lector. That is all I did.
And I was about to go out so the workers could vote.
You don't have to go anywhere. You stay here. I'm glad to meet you. I'm Santiago.
Juan Julio, at your service.
I've heard that many factories are getting rid of their lectors. But is this what we want? Workers? Do you want to raise your hands if this is what you want? Raise your hands if this is what you want. 2 votes. 2. Those. Then that's the answer. We are not getting rid of Juan Julio. And I have good news, workers. We are coming up with a new cigar brand, and it will be called Ana Karenina. Yeah. And Morella, if you will do us the honor, I would like you to pose as Ana Karenina for the label. if you like.
Oh, of course.
Here are some clothes for you to wear.
Santiago gives her a box. She opens the box, which contains an elegant winter coat with fur trimming and a fancy fur hat.
I'll go try them on.
Tomorrow we will start making plans for production. We have much work ahead of us workers, but I promise that we will all benefit from the fruit of our work. I'm glad to be back. What are you voting for?
Santiago, what is this new cigar brand you're talking about? We don't have the money.
And what is this apparatus that you brought to our factory?
Santiago, the sales are down. You haven't been here. The price of tobacco coming from Cuba is sky high.
Should we spend our money having machines make them?
We can benefit.
It is out of the question. Return that apparatus to the factory where you got it from and get me a calendar.
Santiago, it's not a good idea.
Oh, and here's your money. I got a loan. Cheche, this time I'm betting my money on the factory. Give me a calendar, I said. Give me a calendar.
Cheche runs to get a calendar.
What's today's
He
date?
hands it to Santiago.
What is today's date?
21st.
How can it be the 21st when you've already crossed out the 21st on the calendar?
That's how I do it.
You've already crossed out today's date.
I know.
You might have a problem, Cheche.
And what kind of problem do you think I might have?
You are crossing out the new date before you start taking part in it.
What's the use? Anyway, when nothing changes in this place.
That's not a good attitude.
Then what do you want me to do?
For one thing, get rid of this crap. Why don't you get the kind of calendar I had, the kind that you tear off the pages?
And do you think the page of a calendar can make a difference in one's life?
Of course! Something as simple as crossing out your days before you live them can have an effect on the mind. It can cause apprehension, anxiety, and even despair.
Then I am going straight to hell. Because everything here feels the same. Today feels like yesterday and the day before that.
What in the world is wrong with you, Chichi?
This factory. I can't stand it. Working here is like hitting my head against a wall. Look, I try to make changes, modernize the place, but it's like facing a wall of concrete every time I try to do something.
Is that what it is, Chase?
Well, then there's Mildred. Ever since she left me, I'm not the same. Something is missing. Have you ever seen the tail of a lizard when it's been cut off? The tail twists and moves from side to side like a worm that's been removed from the soil. The thing moves on its own, like a nerve that still has a life, and it's looking for the rest of the body that's been slashed away. That's how I feel sometimes. I turn from side to side in my bed at night. I wake up in the morning looking for her in the kitchen, thinking she's going to be there making coffee. I look for her in the garden. Then I come home and there's this moron reading the same story every day to remind me of her. I hate it! And I hate him! It's like there's no end to it, and I want to die.
Marella enters wearing the elegant coat and fur hat. She does a turn, feeling the smooth material of the coat, enjoying the warmth it provides.
How do I look, Papa?
You'll make a great Anna. But you have to wear a flower in your hair and make her look like one of our women. I'll get you a flower, my dear. We'll talk later, Chase. We need to talk.
Santiago exits. Cheche turns to Marella. He contemplates her beauty. Marella looks at her clothes, and then she does a turn as if she were dancing a waltz.
Well, do you think I can pose for the label?
You look beautiful.
Who is this Russian lady?
Do I pass the test?
You look wonderful. Your father is right in choosing you. It's going to be a great picture. I'm looking for my book. I think I left it here.
I didn't see it.
No, it's not here. I must have left it outside.
Loretta takes off the coat and hat. Then she takes out a box and starts pasting magazine cutouts on her work table.
Are you staying until late tonight?
I am.
I'm going over the books. And you?
I'm decorating my table with pictures I like. Photographs of movie stars and this of a street in Moscow, so that I can picture the people in the novel walking through it.
You really are obsessed with this book.
I am.
Just the book or the lector?
That's none of your business.
But it is. I've been watching you while you work.
And what are you doing looking at me while I work?
You have to pay less attention to the reader and more attention to what you're doing.
You're just trying to find any excuse to get rid of the lector. The next thing you know, you'll tell my father that he's distracting the workers.
As a matter of fact, he is. He's distracting you. Some of the cigars you rolled today were faulty, and you're going to get the same dickens that everyone else gets.
Oh, yes. The new lector is getting to you with Anna Karenina.
I don't let the lector or any book get to me.
Sure. You probably remember your wife every time he reads a page.
My wife is dead to me.
Dead. Behind your eyes. So that everywhere that you look, you see her.
Do you want to see all the cigars that you've ruined?
Show me. I pride myself in my work. I'm one of the fastest rollers in this whole place.
But
She
fast.
pulls out a bag of cigars.
But fast isn't always good, Morella.
Well, nothing's wrong with it.
Here. Feel this. Feel it. Hollow, a soft spot.
Thank you, Chester. Is there anything else, or can I start pasting?
As a matter of fact, there's something else.
What, Chester?
Sometimes you get distracted, so distracted by the Russian story, I've seen you take shortcuts when you're rolling.
What kind of shortcuts?
Sometimes you bring a cigar to your mouth and you bite the end off instead of reaching for the knife.
You've seen me do that.
Yes, I've seen you do that and a lot more.
Really?
Yes. When your mind wanders away from your work and you go to your own little Russia, you forget the paste jar and you lick the last tobacco leaf as if you were sealing a letter to a lover or playing with the mustache of a Russian man. Is that what this is, little Morella? You're playing with some man in your mind and you forget that you're bringing a cigar to your mouth and licking it instead of pasting it?
Oh, Chester!
Do you actually forget that you are watching in a little factory where it gets really hot in the summer? And we have to wet the tobacco leaves because they are dry from the heat. And they need moisture from the wet lick of your tongue.
Don't look at me that way, Chester.
How do you want me to look at you?
Don't touch me,
Why not?
because I don't like it.
But I do. Every time I listen to that story, I do see my wife.
Get away from me!
Morella, please. Come close. You don't know what it's like.
Get away from me! Get away from me! And don't you ever touch me again!
Scene 2. Spotlight on Juan Julian sitting on a chair. begins to recite a passage from Anna Karenina. He remains isolated from the action of the scene.
Anna Karenina's husband did not see anything peculiar or improper in his wife sitting together with Vronsky at a separate table, having a lively conversation with him. But he noticed that others sitting in the drawing room had considered it peculiar and improper, and so it seemed improper to him too. He decided that he must have a conversation with his wife about it.
Conchita enters. She goes to her table and begins to roll cigars. Palomo enters. He is like a lost animal. Juan Julian continues to read in silence.
So what time do you meet your lover?
At the agreed time.
And what time is that?
It changes like the moon.
Where do you meet him besides this place?
I can't tell you these things.
Why not?
Because that's the way it is.
Does he read to you?
Sometimes, when he says that I look sad,
Oh, you get sad.
it's not sadness. Sometimes I've never felt or done before.
But isn't this what you wanted?
Yes. Sometimes I can't help the guilt.
How does he respond when you tell him this?
He tells me that we have to make love all over again, that I have to get used to it, to him, to his body.
What else does he say to you?
He says things a woman likes to hear.
Like what?
That I taste sweet and mysterious, like the water hidden inside fruits, and that our love will be white and pure like tobacco flowers. And it will grow at night, the same way that tobacco plants grow at night.
What else does he tell you?
Private things.
Like what?
Obscenities.
And you like that?
He knows when and how to say them.
And what does he talk to you this way?
When we're both deep inside of each other and we could almost surrender to death. When he pounds so hard inside of me as if to kill me, as if to revive me from that drowning place, from that deep place where he takes me.
I see.
Why are you so curious, boy?
Because I don't know, because you seem different. You've changed.
It happens when lovers do what they are supposed to do.
Do you ever talk to him about me?
Yes. He wanted to know why you stopped loving me.
And what did you tell him?
I told him that it just happened one day, like everything else in life.
And what was his response?
He wanted to know what I felt. And I told him the truth. I told him that I desire and love you just the same.
And he's fine with that?
He told me to show him how I love you. To show him on his body.
And what did you do?
It was terrifying.
What was terrifying?
I thought it would be impossible. That nobody could occupy that space in me, but he did. He did, and everything seemed so recognizable, as if he had known me all along. His room became a theater, and his bed a stage, and we became like actors in a play. Then I asked him to play my role, to pretend to be me. And I dressed him in my clothes, and he was compliant. It was as if I was making love to myself, because he knew what to do, where to go, and where to take me.
Show me.
Show you what?
Show me. Show me what he did to you and how he did it.
You would have to do as actors do.
And what is that?
Actors surrender. They stop playing themselves and they give in. You would have to let go of yourself and enter the life of another human being. In this case, it would be me.
Teach me.
Here in the factory.
Yes. Back there, when you meet him.
Soft music plays. Conchita traces Palermo's neck and shoulders with her hand. He leads her out of the room. Lights change. Juan Julian closes the book. The soft music fades. Scene 3. A danson plays. It is the inauguration of the new cigar brand. There's a party. The workers start filing in, dressed in their best clothes. Santiago and Ophelia enter with 2 bottles of rum and glasses.
Did you get enough rum, Santiago?
Did I get enough rum? Tell her how much rum I got, Juan Julia.
She's got enough rum to get an elephant drunk on.
Oh, well, then give me some before anybody gets here so I can calm my nerves. Hurry.
Well, what are you
Dame.
nervous? What are you nervous about? What are you nervous about?
Well, I have heard. I have the heart of a seal. You know, and when I get excited, I want to swing out of my chest. Come on.
Let's have a drink, the 3 of us.
Yes.
We ought to have a private toast before anybody gets here. Right? We haven't really done that badly this year. Sales were down last month, but we're still staying above water.
Yes. So we'll do well, Santiago. You know, people need to blow out smoke and vent themselves, huh?
That's right.
Salud! Ay, mama. Okay, mira, let's bring out the lanterns, huh?
The 3 of them exit. Cheche and Palomo, both elegantly dressed, enter with palm leaves to decorate the factory. They are engaged in conversation.
Sometimes I don't know what to do. I can feel it, or it's just me, my mind. At night, I can't sleep. I lie there awake thinking, imagining the 2 of them together. I can still smell him on her skin, her clothes, and her handkerchief. And I can see him on her face and her eyes. And I don't know what to do.
You should move up north to Trenton and start a new life. Take her away from here. That's what I wanted to do with Mildred. I figured we could go up north. The 2 of us could work in a cigar factory. There are plenty of them in Trenton. And there are no lectors and no good-for-nothing love stories which put ideas into women's heads and ants into their pants.
Would you give me a hand with the lanterns?
Ah, we were just talking about love stories.
Well, it's obvious you don't care much for them. You almost made me lose my job the other day.
Oh, I'm curious as how the story ends.
Yeah. Does the husband ever think of killing the lover? I would have killed the bastard a long time ago.
The husband would probably choose a duel instead of killing her lover in cold blood.
I would have shot the son of a bitch a long time ago.
But that's not the way things were done in those days.
Then the husband is a coward and a stinker.
Oh, I don't see the husband as a coward. He might be more clever than the 3 of us. Wouldn't you say so, Juan Julian?
Well, the husband is acting according to his status. He is a man of power. He has one of the most important positions in the ministry, and we're talking about St. Petersburg society. Everyone knows everybody, and he doesn't want Anna's affair to turn into a big scandal.
The husband is a pansy, if you ask me.
So, what character do you identify with in the novel?
I like them all. I learned things from all of them.
And what did you learn from Anna's lover?
I don't know.
I'm intrigued as to know how he became interested in her.
Well, it's very obvious in the novel.
And what's your personal opinion.
She came to him because she thought he could help her.
Help her how?
Help her to love again. Help her to recognize herself as a woman all over again. She'd probably only known one man, and that was her husband. With the lover, she learns a new way of loving. And it's this new way of loving that makes her go back to her lover over and over again. That's just my interpretation.
Good, you're all here! Ha-ha! We are celebrating the whole day today. Let's have another drink!
Oh, honey, Mina. Remember, you have a speech to make. Yeah.
Well, this will inspire me.
Well, at the rate we're going, we'll be drunk before the whole party gets started.
Enjoy yourself. Today, I am the happiest man on earth.
Conchita enters. She's dressed in a chiffon paisley dress.
Oh.
Are you drinking without me?
Of course not. Come, have a drink with us. Where's your sister? You look beautiful in that dress. My child, I've never seen you wear that before.
Papa, just a month ago I wore it. We were invited to a party. I remember it as if it were yesterday. Mama hates paisleys.
No. I don't hate paisleys.
You said I looked like an old lady the last time I wore it.
Oh, well, frankly, I didn't think much of it when you had it on, when you had it made. I don't know. But, now that you've got your hair, and you look so different. It's actually very becoming.
You do look beautiful, my love.
I love paisleys.
They remind me of gypsies and bohemians.
Oh, you actually look very bohemian.
It's true. Paisleys look dreamy, as if they come from a floating world.
Palomo looks at Juan Julian. Juan Julian lifts his glass. Palomo brings Conchita close to him and wraps his arms around her.
Senors, one question. As an outsider, as a foreigner to this country, I have something to ask. Why do Americans prohibit something as divine as whiskey and rum?
Because Americans become socialists when they drink.
I have another answer to your question. Alcohol is prohibited in this country because alcohol is like literature. Literature brings out the best and the worst of ourselves. If you're angry, it brings out your anger. If you're sad, it brings out your sadness. And some of us are, let's just say, not very happy.
Ophelia, who is a little tipsy, taps her glass to make a speech and doing a dance step.
Mira. Okay, mira. Woo. Okay. So, but rum brings out your best steps if you are a good dancer, huh? Yeah, baby. Okay, so if you have 2 left feet, it's better that you don't dance at all. Okay, but you know what? So let's face it, senor, okay? Americans are good at making movies. Okay, radios and cars, but when it comes to dancing, it's better if, with the exception of, colored folks, of course. They got what it takes to dance up a storm. That's what I'm talking about. Yeah, you know what? That's why I think alcohol is prohibited, because most Americans, they don't know how to dance.
Grab Santiago by the hand.
Come on, baby, let's go. Hey, I know. Estimated, but that's okay. No, we can't dance yet because I have an announcement to make. Where's Maria?
She must be putting on her clothes.
Well, señoras and señores, today we have taken time from work to drink and dance and to celebrate the new cigar brand we are launching into the market. This well-crafted cigar is wrapped from the finest leaves of the Huela Abajo in Pinar de Rio, the tip of Cuba. The length of this new cigar is 6 1/8 inches, and the ring gauge is 52. I truly believe this is our finest Toro. Where's Marilla? She should be here.
Marella enters dressed in an elegant black gown. She is like Anna on the night of the ball.
I'm here, Papa.
Let me look at you, my little blue sky.
But Mira, child, you look so beautiful!
You came just in time. I was just about to say that since most cigars are named after women and romantic love stories, today we are baptizing our new cigar with the name Ana Karenina. This cigar will sell for 10 cents, and we are hoping this new brand will bring us fortune and prosperity. So now that we are all gathered here, I would like to ask my beloved Ophelia to do us the honor of officially lighting the first Ana Karenina.
The cigar is passed to Ophelia. Santiago lights it with a match. Ophelia takes a puff and blows out a ring of smoke.
Well,
It's, oh, it burns like a blue dream, yes!
Ophelia passes the cigar to Santiago, and he gives it to Marella.
and to the youngest one in the family, our very own Ana.
Marella takes a puff, coughs a little. She laughs. She passes the cigar to another. This person presents it to Santiago.
Lovely.
Santiago takes a puff.
It is glorious. Perfect!
Santiago hands the cigar to someone. He passes it to Cheche. He takes a puff.
Burns well, pleasant aroma. I detect a little bit of cherry. I think it's our finest horse.
The cigar is passed to Palomo. Palomo passes it to Conchita. She takes a puff.
Ah, it speaks of forests and orchids.
Conchita hands the cigar to someone who passes it to Palomo. He takes a puff.
Magnifico. Definitely like aged rum. Sweet like mangoes, huh?
You forgot one Julio.
Oh, yes. We can't forget our lector, who brought us the world of Ana Karenina.
Palomo takes off his hat and gives Juan Julian the cigar. This is an offense, since the cigar should never be handed directly to the person that is supposed to smoke. There has to be a mediator to facilitate communication with the gods. Juan Julian smiles. He smells the cigar, looks up, and makes a gesture to the gods.
Sweet aroma. It sighs like a sunset and has a little bit of cocoa beans and cedar. I believe we have a cigar, senores.
Yes!
We do have a cigar, senores. We have a champion.
Indeed! Oh, we have a champion!
Papa, let's go out into the streets and tell the world about our cigar. Let's give our new cigars to the people.
And go bankrupt, my child. No, I propose a gunshot.
Ay, Santiago, no, mira, you're drunk. Okay. Stop drinking
Knowing narration is complete without breaking of a bottle or a gunshot.
I propose 2 gunshots then.
I can't have 2 gunshots. It's got to be 3.
Then I'll shoot the 3rd one.
Let's go, let's shoot!
Yeah! Oh, wait, just make sure you aim up high, but don't shoot the moon, okay?
They all laugh. The workers bring the party outside. As Conchita starts to leave, Palomo grabs her by the arm.
Where are you going?
Outside?
You've been looking at him the whole night. You're still in love with this man.
Maybe just as much as you are.
I don't like men.
Then why do you always want me to tell you what I do with him?
Because it's part of the old habit we have of listening. We are listeners.
No. There's something else.
You're right. There's something else, and it's terrible sometimes.
Then nothing makes sense to me anymore.
I want you to go back to him and tell him you want to make love like a knife.
Why a knife?
Because everything has to be killed.
Another gunshot.
Senores, I have a confession to make. Okay, you know, when I was 17, and that was, of course, yesterday, you know, I was chosen to pose for a cigar brand that was called Aida. And like the opera, and of course, just the thought of my face being on a cigar ring and in so many men's hands and lips. Well, my mother was scandalized. Oh my, you know, you see, we weren't cigar people. We were in the guava jelly business. No, yeah. So when my mother forbid me to pose for the label, I told her that I wanted a picture of my face on a can of guava marmalade. And it was only fair. I mean, so they dressed me up in a red dress, and I had a red carnation behind my ear, and they made me look lovely sitting in a hammock and a parrot by my side.
Let's go, my dear.
Oh.
We have smoked.
Oh.
We have fired a gun. And you've had too much to drink.
Oh, no. Well, you just want to take advantage of me because I am drunk.
Good night, everybody.
Good night.
Marilla, are you coming with us?
Oh, I'll be there in a minute.
I'm still okay. Stay.
Let's go home. We'll see you tomorrow.
Adios.
Adios.
Conchita and Palomo exit, leaving Morella and Juan Julian alone.
Oh, I don't want this night to end. I could stay up all night. I don't want to sleep. We sleep too much. We spend more than a third of our lives sleeping. And darkness descends, and everything is a mystery to us. We don't know if trees really walk at night, as I've heard in legends. We don't know if statues and spirits dance in the squares unbeknown to us. And how could we ever know if we sleep? We sleep, and we close our eyes and rest, and it's so much.
I want to have what you drank. What did you drink?
I didn't drink. I just feel gladness. Papa was so happy. I liked to see him that way. And Mama was so full of joy. She's the one who drinks a little too much.
Well, it's good to drink a little every now and then.
Cheche enters. He stays at a distance, watching.
Yes, we deserve a little drink. We work hard enough. We deserve all that life offers us. And life is made of little moments. Little moments as small as violet petals. Little moments that I could save in a jar and keep forever. Like talking to you now.
So you are a collector. And what sort of things do you collect besides nights like this one?
The first time you read, and the day you walked me to the pharmacy.
So I'm in one of your jars.
In many.
Many. You are clear and fresh as water. Did anyone ever tell you that?
No, never.
Then people are blind.
Blind? Do you think so? And how can one teach the blind to see?
I wouldn't know. I'm not blind.
But we are all blind in the eyes of those who can't see.
Yes, you're right.
We just have to learn to use our eyes in the dark. We have to learn to see through words and sounds. Through our hands.
She touches his hand.
I'm sure those who are blind will see your beauty once they touch your face.
He touches her face tenderly.
I must go now. Sleep well.
Adios.
Adios.
Oh, Juan Julian,
Yes.
lend me the book.
What book?
The book in your hand. I promise not to get ahead of the story.
Bring it tomorrow morning or I won't have a book to read.
May you dream of angels.
You too.
Kissing her face. As Juan Julian exits, Morella stays, looking at him in the distance. She brings the book to her chest. Then she opens it and reads, as if to find consolation, the sort one seeks in the lonely hours of the night.
Anna Karenina prepared herself for the journey with joy and willfulness. With small, skillful hands, she opened a red bag and took out a little cushion, which she placed on her knees before closing the bag.
Cheche emerges from the shadows. He takes a handkerchief from his pocket and dries his face. He looks at Morella. He comes close to her and touches her arm. She is startled and runs out. Cheche stands alone for a moment, then exits in a different direction. Lights change. Scene 4. Palomo enters the factory, carrying a couple of heavy boxes. Conchita is clearing up the mess from the night before.
Where's Cheche?
He hasn't arrived yet.
I hope someone gets here with the keys to the safe. The boy who delivered these boxes is out there and he wants to get paid.
I'll go to the house and ask Mama for the keys.
No, you have to help me take inventory of all these boxes.
He hands her some papers.
As soon as I finish with this. I wonder why Papa isn't here.
He's probably still in bed. He did drink.
Yes, you're right. Mama must be putting cold compresses on his forehead. It always happens.
Santiago and Ophelia enter. Santiago is trying to get rid of his hangover by rubbing his forehead.
Morning.
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 Santiago, I need the key to the safe. I have to pay for the delivery.
Ophelia has them.
You know, I left them right at the office on top of the desk.
Palomo exits. Ophelia sits down and starts rolling cigars.
Where's Cheche?
He hasn't arrived yet.
I don't blame him. I would have stayed in bed myself, but your mother is like a rooster. When she gets up from bed, nobody...
I didn't wake you up.
I didn't say that you did. It's those slippers you used to walk around the house. They're louder than running trains. Everywhere. One day I'm going to throw them out the window.
Oh, you do that and I'll give you Sunday shoes to the chimney cleaner. You know what? That's what I'll do.
Okay, see now the pain gets worse. This woman now, she likes to bother me.
Do you want my bottle of spirits, Papa?
Give me anything you have, my child. Your mother doesn't take care of me.
Conchita gives him the bottle of spirits. He sniffs. Morella enters, wearing the long coat. She goes to her table and starts to roll cigars.
Morning.
Marella, why are you wearing that coat? Aren't you warm?
No. Some coats keep winter inside them. You wear them and you find pockets full of December, January, and February. All those months that cover the earth with snow and make everything still. That's how I want to be, layered and still.
My child, are you okay? Are you all right?
I'm fine, Mama. Don't worry about me.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Here's your book.
Juan Julian notices Morella's coat, and that she seems to be in a state of dismay.
Thank you.
Has Che come in yet?
No, he's just late. Sit down. Juan Julian is going to read to us.
Today I'll begin by reading Part 3, Chapter 13 of Ana Karenina. In his youth, Ana Karenina's husband had been intrigued by the idea of dueling because he was physically a coward and was well aware of the fact. In his youth, this terror had often forced him to think about dueling and imagining himself in a situation in which it was necessary to endanger his life.
Che enters unnoticed. His head is heavy with dark thoughts.
This old ingrained feeling now reasserted itself. Let's suppose I challenge him. Let's suppose someone teaches me how to do it, he went on thinking.
Che pulls out a gun.
They put us in position. I squeeze the trigger, he said to himself. And it turns out I've killed him. He shook his head to drive away such silly thoughts. What would be the sense of killing a man in order to define one's own relationship with a woman?
Che shoots Juan Julian. Shoots again and Juan Julian falls to the floor. The lights fade to black. Scene 5. 3 days have passed. The factory workers are rolling cigars and organizing the tobacco leaves by their proper size and shape. Morella is still wearing her coat.
What silence! I never knew that silence could have so much weight. Can someone say something? Can someone read, please? We are listeners. We are oidores. I can't get used to this silence around us. It's as if a metal blanket has fallen.
The same silence we had when our last reader died.
No. Palomo, this silence, it's louder. Much louder. It's much louder!
That's because Juan Julian died before his time. And the shadows of the young are heavier, and they linger over the earth like a cloud.
I should write his name on a piece of paper and place it in a glass of water with brown sugar, so Spirit knows that he is welcome in this factory, and he can come here and drink sweet water. And nobody better tell me that's wrong for me to do. Did you hear me, Mama?
Your mother hasn't said anything to my child.
I know she hasn't. But we must look after the dead so they can feel a part of this world, so they don't forget us, and we can count on them when we cross to the other side.
We should continue reading, Papa.
Yes, he should continue reading the story in his honor, so he doesn't feel like he left his job undone. He should know that we're still his faithful listeners.
If I could, I would read, but I know that if I open that book, I will be weak.
We shouldn't cry. Tears are for the weak that mourn the knife and the killer. And the trickle of blood that streams from this factory all the way to the house where he was born.
Please. Please. Could someone read? Please.
I will read.
That's it. Read. So we can get rid of this silence and this heat. And we can pause over a few lines and sigh and be glad. Be glad that we are alive.
And read something cheerful.
Oh,
Yes.
stories should be finished, Papa. Let him finish the book.
She's right. Stories should be finished or they suffer the same fate as those who die before their time.
Anna Karenina, Part 3, Chapter 14. By the time he arrived in Petersburg, Anna Karenina's husband was not only completely determined to carry out his decision, but he had composed in his head a letter he would write to his wife. And in his letter, he was going to write everything he'd been meaning to tell her.
The lights begin to fade. End of play.